In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use explosive leg drive during your serve. Now here we have Taylor Fritz, and the first thing I want you to know is that the knees should bend around the time the ball comes out of your hand. So you want to go out and film yourself, and when the ball comes out of your hand, that's when your knees should bend. And you can see that with Taylor here. When the ball is released, you can see his head drop. In fact, we put a line across the top of his head. Watch that when the ball goes out of his hand, that's when he drops below that yellow line. So check your serve and make sure that when the ball comes out of your hand, that's when you begin dropping. Now, this is something so cool. I'm going to show you John Isner. I'm going to show you Nick Kyrgios. There is a range when it comes to when you should explode back up, when it comes to where your racket is. And I'm going to show you this. Taylor Fritz has his racket right there. I'm going to show you that Nick Kyrgios has his racket right there. And I'm going to show you that Isner has his racket right there. Those are the three places, beginning, middle, and the end of the range where you can have your racket in when you begin driving up your legs. Check this out. Remember, he released the ball and then he started bending his knees. Well, when is he supposed to explode back up again? He's supposed to explode back up based on where the racket is. What he wouldn't want to do is move the racket all the way behind him and then explode up. Well, that would happen if the toss goes way too high. Then the racket has a chance to go behind you. What we want is a low enough toss that when we release and bend, we can then explode up. But notice where his racket is when he begins exploding up. We can use that same line now and see when does he start going up. He begins going up when his racket is at this point. Now here we have Kyrgios, and you can notice ball comes out of his hand, his knees begin to bend. Now when does he begin exploding up? This is so important. You need to film yourself because this is how you maximize your leg drive. Remember, Taylor had his racket right here. Let's see when he begins going up. All we got to do is put a line at the top of his head when he is at his lowest point. And when does he start popping up? It's really around here that his racket begins going up. So this is actually the difference between Taylor Fritz and Nick Kyrgios, but both are acceptable in the fact that they are exploding with their legs up at the right time. And then here's Isner. Ball comes out of the hand. He bends down. Now, when does he begin exploding up? It's around the time the racket is about to hit the birthday hat. So this is where Taylor Fritz's racket was, this is where Nick Kyrgios' racket was, and this is where Isner is when their leg drive begins going up. Now the reason this matters is what we're trying to do is with our body exploding up, we're trying to accentuate the shoulder stretch that occurs when the racket goes down. See, when you explode up with your legs, and the racket is going down at the same time, the racket is going the opposite direction as the body. And guess what compromises? The shoulder and the arm. And it's like a slingshot, or maybe we'll say a catapult. And all of a sudden, the racket drop is extreme, and then the racket gets to be snapped up over the arm with pronation. What a lot of players do is they wait until their racket gets behind them before exploding up with the legs. That does not accentuate that catapult movement, and then you don't get the biggest serve possible. Here's Kyrgios again. So again, his body is going up as the racket is going down. It's very obvious to see. His body and racket are going in opposite directions. And what does that mean? The shoulder is stretched more. There are many recreational players who are working so hard on their serve, which is great, but they're waiting until the racket is in this position before their body ever begins going up. And in my experience, it's because the toss is too high and the body cannot explode yet because it's waiting for the ball to come down. Well, the racket just keeps going and now the racket is behind. It's much easier just to lower the toss. That way you can get the leg drive to be at the right time. Man, he's got such a good serve. Now, in my opinion, Isner's got one of the best serves of all time. And you can see the body and racket going in opposite directions. The body's going up as the racket is going down. That incredible explosion. Look at this. Look at the racket off to the right of his hand. The racket's getting thrown off to the right as the elbow comes forward and up. Racket swings way out wide because of the racket speed. Strings are actually facing down at this point. and then he just snaps through incredible pronation. Strings are actually facing up after he hits the ball. It's just insane. You have to go out and film yourself. And if your leg drive is at this point, when you begin exploding up, like Fritz, that's great. If your racket is here when your legs begin exploding up, just like Kyrgios, that's great. And if your leg drive occurs when you're just about to hit the birthday hat right here, like Isner, that's great. Being in that range is going to be acceptable in helping you to hit your biggest serve. So please go out and film your serve and make sure that your leg drive timing is maximizing the level of your serve. Now, if you're looking for people in your local area to play matches against or practice with, or if you want to find a coach who's close to you who can help you with your game, then use my link in the description, playercourt.com/2minute tennis. When you use my link, you get 50% off. So please go out and film yourself hitting serves and check to see that once the ball comes out of your hand, that's when you bend your knees and that you explode back up with your legs when the racket is in between either Taylor Fritz or John Isner, that range of acceptability. You do that, there's no doubt. You're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.